Hi guys, I'm Kasha. Welcome to the channel and welcome to our coffee times. I'm here to talk to you again about movies, and this time I'm here to talk to you about the 10 other movies that I watched at the Fantasy Film Fest that were non-particularly horror, but still I think they are most of them worth a watch. So in case you missed my first video on it, I'm gonna leave it linked up here so you can check it out as well if you're interested more in the horror movies that were running at the festival. As well as with my other video, I'm just going to be mentioning the movies by the order that I watched them, and I'm gonna be giving you a short review as well as the rating that I gave to the movies.
It's coffee time!
Before we dive into these movies, if you love horror, if you love movies, collectibles, please consider subscribing to the channel and also to click on the notification bell so you don't miss any more coffee times. First of all, let me tell you that I lied to you. I only have 9 movies on this list. I'm sorry about that. The first movie that I watched was the festival opener, and what an opening. We got to see Palm Springs from 2020, and I gave this one 4 stars. This was a movie that I would definitely rewatch, and it is kind of a combination between Groundhog Day and Happy Death Day. That's kind of like a mix between the two. We have our main characters that are stuck on a loop, and every day is the same day, and it is a wedding day. It was just so much fun. It is nothing like I had expected, and I think what works so well for this movie is the chemistry that the two main actors have in the film and their relationship. That it's really what makes this movie so special. It's kind of like a romantic comedy, but it also has some, not particularly horror, but there are some horror-ish elements to it because we get to see some deaths and some gorier scenes and stuff like that. I think they're also bringing kind of like a fresh concept when it comes to this time loop situation that we have seen done before. So it was just fun. Like, honestly, everybody was laughing at the cinema, and it is one that I would definitely recommend anybody to give a chance. Next we have Archive from 2020. This is a British science fiction movie, and I gave it 3.5 stars. This is set in a dystopian future. We are in 2038. We're following a scientist that his mission is to work in this isolated facility to kind of work on robotics and kind of improve and push forward to the future when it comes to the technology. And this movie had amazing visuals, and for a movie that didn't have such a huge budget, it was so well done and executed. I think this movie is going to be very unexpected for a lot of people. If you like slow burn science fiction movies, you're going to love this one. And it is a really beautiful and sad story as well. It's kind of like a drama science fiction, I would say. But if you don't mind slow burn movies that are based on only a handful of characters, this is something that you don't want to miss. Next we have Inheritance from 2020. This is an American thriller, and I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was gonna enjoy this one more than I did. I only gave this movie a 2-star rating, and this is by far one of the least original ones that I have seen during this Fantasy Film Fest. To be fair, the opening of the movie was really promising, and I was really engaged, and I was thinking, okay, this is gonna be something unusual, something really cool. But it ended up being, on the second half, just a very basic thriller that you can predict how it's gonna go down. It does have good performances from both from Lily Collins and from Simon Pegg that you will get to see playing a character that he doesn't really play much often, and he had to lose a lot of weight for this role as well. Like I said, it was very promising at the beginning, but then the second half was your very stereotypical kind of thriller, and it got very disappointing. The story is, this family, the patriarch dies, and the daughter ends up inheriting something that she didn't even know existed, and she is now left alone to handle what to do with this something that she inherited, and that is kind of like a family secret. So it was promising, but it flopped. Next we have Bring Me Home from 2019. This is a South Korean thriller drama, and I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought this movie was one that it was worth it to stick until the end. The movie does portray very dark topics like the kidnapping of kids and the disappearance of kids in South Korea. So you kind of see a couple of different stories, but our main story is this couple that has lost their son, and they are not ready to give up at all, and they would do anything to find him. And as the movie progresses, it gets darker and darker and messier, and it gets more and more violent towards the end. I really like it, but it's a very dark, heavy topic, so this is not your typical thriller. It's more on the kind of drama heavy side of things, but I am really happy that I got to watch it in this Fantasy Film Fest, because I don't know if I would have come across this movie at all, and it was definitely worth a watch. Next we have Breaking Surface from 2020, a Swedish action drama thriller that also came out in 2020. So this movie is following a family, in particular 2 sisters, that all their lives they are used to go diving with their parents, and when they're older they decide to take a trip to Norway to dive, and there is an accident that ends up putting them in danger. So this is a very claustrophobic movie that has to do with survival and the sea. It is a movie that most of it takes place at the same place, but still it keeps you like grabbing your seat. Like the tension that it manages to create just keeps you like engaged with the movie, and you are really living with them. You're kind of giving them advice. Like it's a movie that it's going to really put you at the edge of your seat, and it was really good. It was really well executed. There were just a couple of things that I didn't like so much, like the way they really ended the movie. I just had hoped that the ending was going to be a little bit more on the realistic side. If you watch the movie, you probably know what I mean, but I still think that if you like movies that have to do with, you know, the sea and diving and survival with extreme conditions, extreme weather, then this might be one that you want to check out. Next we have another one of my absolute faves of the festival, Dinner in America from 2020. This movie was so much fun. This is going to be one of my new favorite movie duos in history. We have 2 characters that they could not be more different from each other. On the one hand, we have a kind of introvert girl that has never really had many friends, and she kind of lives through the music that she listens to, and she is kind of more like a lonely person, and she's being bullied as well. And then we have on the other hand a punk rock singer that has always been dealing with like trouble and police all his life, and their paths meet one day and they kind of help each other be better in a way. But this tale is told with so much, you know, it's just so brilliant. It's so smart the way that this movie is planned, and it is fun, it is heartwarming, and it is definitely one of my favorite ones from this festival. I think everybody should check this movie out. It is not going to be for everybody, granted, but I absolutely loved it. Next we have Funny Lie Delivered. This is a 2019 British drama period movie based on the 1600s, and I gave this one a total of 3 stars. This movie, it's kind of a very dark movie as well. I feel like most of the topics that the movies have in the Fantasy Film Fest are very dark ones. It doesn't matter if they're drama or thriller or horror. In this case, we are following a family that is very religious, and their lives and their beliefs are being put to test when two strangers get into their barn, and they kind of decide to help them. So the main character here, which is also in the title of the movie, Fanny, she is the woman that all her life has believed in religion and, you know, monogamy, and that the man is the one that decides everything and all of this, you know, typical things. And when she meets these two strangers, all her beliefs are gonna be put to test. It was a very violent movie that is going to make some people uncomfortable, but I thought that it was a good reflection on, you know, the society that we had back then in the 1600s, and how marriage and all of those things were seen back then, and faith. Next, we have The Personal History of David Copperfield from 2019. I gave this one also 3 stars, and this stars Dev Patel as the main character, David Copperfield. It is inspired on the novel. But this one is taking to the next level. It is fresh, it is colorful, and everything is told in such a fun way. It's just made for people to enjoy the story, to enjoy the characters, to get to know them. And even the saddest of the situations, everything is kind of like made kind of happier in a way, if that makes sense. This was unlike Dickens' story. This was very whimsical, very fantasy-like. My only kind of negative point about the movie is that perhaps it was a bit too long. I feel like nowadays there are many movies that are 2 hours long, and maybe they don't all need to be 2 hours long, if you know what I mean. But this was really well shot. The visuals were really nice, the colors, the score, and it's a lot of fun, but I think this is a movie for just one watch. And let's finish with a bang, and this is one of my absolute favorite movies that I have watched this Fantasy Film Fest, and it is a new movie by Quentin Dupieux. He's the one that did Rubber. And this is a 2020 movie. I gave it 4 stars, and this is like Dumb and Dumber but upgraded, you know. We're following 2 characters, 2 friends that I just can't, it's too funny. So the main plot of the movie is these 2 friends that find in the trunk of a car that they stole, they find this giant fly, and they come up with the idea of training the fly so that the fly would do things for them, and then they can live from that. This movie was so cute. The fly was so cute, but also this is one of those movies that it just works. It's so stupid and so simple, but it's so well executed that it works so well. Normally, I'm not somebody that enjoys really easy, really like basic jokes. Like normally I get tired of those movies really quickly, but this movie, I was engaged the whole movie. I was having so much fun. This is not your typical type of humor at all, but for me it worked so well. So I guess it depends a little bit on what type of humor you enjoy, and this is also not gory at all like Rubber was. It does have a couple of more violent scenes, but not really. It's more based on the comedy and these 2 guys' friendship and the fly. Please watch this movie, okay? Please watch this movie. This was so much fun. I'm never gonna forget this movie. I actually want to own a copy of this movie. Yeah, so I really love it, in case you cannot tell, because I'm just in love with it. Alright you guys, so this was my quick review on the 9 movies that were not horror that were running at the Fantasy Film Fest. I did enjoy all the movies that I watched, there were a couple that were not as strong as the other ones, but all in all, this was a really good Fantasy Film Fest edition. It was the 34th edition, and I really loved most of the movies. And like I mentioned in my other video, I'm so grateful that I was able to go and to watch all of these movies, to binge them. We only had like around 30 minutes in between movies, so it was like a real marathon, and it was just so much fun. And it was great to be able to go to the cinema for such a big marathon of movies in these times. I know that not everybody has the option to, so that's why I say I'm really lucky, and I feel really grateful that I was able to go. I hope that you still had fun with these quick movie reviews. Let me know down below if you have heard about these movies, the directors. Is there anything here that you are really, you know, wanting to check out? Let's talk about these movies in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Please give the video a big thumbs up to support the channel. And if you want to follow me in all the social media, as always, the links are down below. And I hope to see you all in the next coffee time. Bye!